Brian is 37, single, tired of dating apps that go nowhere. Last week, his friend Mark told him about the robot companions. So today, Brian walks through the door of a showroom. Curious, skeptical, not sure what he's looking for, but hoping he'll know it when he sees it. As Brian browses the different models, a salesman approaches.
Amazing, right? Tell me which one feels right to you. Most people choose the one in the middle. They want it to feel real but not too real.
I'm not sure. Can you make it look like someone specific?
Well, it depends. Like, your ex-girlfriend?
Does it matter?
Legally? Not yet. Morally?
Then what about not exactly human? Like what if she had, I don't know, elf ears?
The fantasy loophole. That we can do. No one can claim we stole their likeness if they don't have purple eyes and long ears.
We need to kick off our new series of episodes with the appearance of the robots destined to share our lives. Remember, we're talking about a robot that actually lives with you, one you'll build a relationship with, and yes, even take to bed. We aren't talking about the bots that will steal our jobs or the ones that vacuum our floors. We're talking about companions we want to bond with and perhaps even marry. To do this, we need to consider the different forms they could take. Which ones will be convincing enough for us to accept as life partners? That's why it is crucial to break down the different levels of robot appearance. Basically, there are three main categories. First, there's level 1, the robot that looks exactly like a machine. It is fully formed as a humanoid, but the robotic components are exposed. No skin, no hair. There is absolutely no guessing whether it's human or not. Then you have level 2, a robot that looks human, but with obvious mechanical features. There is a broad spectrum here. On one end, you might have just a human face with hair and makeup, while the rest of the body is exposed metal. On the other end, the robot might be fully covered in synthetic skin, but with a deliberate tell like a face tattoo, glowing eyes, or visible seams. It's obvious to the naked eye, even from a distance, that this isn't a human. Finally, level 3. This is a robot that looks completely human, with no visible traces of technology. When you look at it, there are no visual clues to give it away. At level 3, we are talking about a robot that can pass for a human without any problem. We need to consider these 3 levels of appearance and their impact on our intimacy before these robots actually arrive. When you look at these 3 levels, which one could you actually accept? Which one could you imagine being intimate with or even having a relationship with? Think about it. If your robot has a body made of metal or plastic, how would you view it? Could you really be intimate with it? Or would you see it as just a toy or a tool preventing any real relationship from forming? What if it has a human face, but the rest is robotic? Is that enough to fall in love? We know a face can express emotion and make a robot seem human. But is it enough, or do you need more? Do you need the illusion of humanity to be perfect so that you can forget it's a machine? You have to consider the different scenarios and moments you'll share with them. Is this just to fulfill a fantasy in bed? Or is it something deeper? Are you going to marry your robot? Are you building a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship? If so, can you do that with a machine, or does it have to look human enough to fool you? These are the questions we need to ask ourselves now, before they get here. It is important. Now, this goes beyond the obvious question of the relationship itself. It brings us to a much darker issue. If you choose a level 3, a robot that looks exactly human, is it okay if it looks like your ex? Or your crush? Or a stranger you just passed on the street? Or even a celebrity? Should this be allowed? Should you be able to own a robot that looks exactly like someone you want but cannot have? Should the manufacturer require a release form from a model? Or should they be allowed to build a copy based on a photo you bring them without the real person's consent? Where exactly do we draw the line? And if we think further, what is the impact on our ability to handle rejection? If you can have a robot that looks like your ex, but is built to please you and never says no, how does that change your view of relationships? How does it change your view of yourself? It creates an illusion of control. If your robot looks like your ex, did you ever really break up? Have you ever truly been rejected? Or does it even matter now that you can replace them with a compliant copy? And to stretch it a little bit further, let's also look at our internal psychology. Most of our fantasies exist precisely because they are things we cannot have. They are things we cannot act upon, or at least not easily. But what happens if you have a robot available to you 24/7, looking exactly the way you want? What happens to the fantasy then? Suddenly, it can be fulfilled very easily. Should we allow this? What will be the impact on our psyche when nothing is out of reach? These are questions we need to ask ourselves quickly before they arrive. Finally, let's take it even further. What if I told you there is a fourth level of appearance? Maybe our robot won't look human at all. Maybe it looks like an elf, a cat hybrid, or something straight out of a fantasy. We're talking about anime-style companions or manga-inspired designs. We already see this in comics and animation. The vibrant hair, the exaggerated eyes, the impossible body shapes. These designs fuel a lot of fantasies. What if your robot had a body that was hyper-perfect or had exaggerated proportions that don't exist in nature? Regardless of the specific design, would you be willing to share your bed and your life with a completely new species? Something that isn't just a human replica, but a living fantasy creature? We need to picture ourselves in this reality, and honestly, we are already halfway there. Just look at the Instagram filters these days or the rise of BBL surgeries. This future might be coming sooner than we think. What appearance does a robot need for us to be comfortable spending our most precious, intimate moments with it? Wow, we've covered a lot of ground. Let's take a moment to breathe. Now, I know this channel is dedicated to robot companions, the relationships we build in private, not the robots cleaning our floors or working in factories. But we have to face a hard truth. If the technology exists to build a level 3 lover in your bedroom, it exists for everything else too.
Breaking news tonight. Senator Harris is denying he appeared at a tech industry conference this morning, despite dozens of witnesses and video evidence showing him endorsing controversial AI legislation. The senator's office insists he was in Washington the entire day and claims the figure at the conference was a level 3 synthetic, a hyper-realistic robot companion designed to look exactly like him. If true, this marks the first confirmed case of a public official being impersonated by an AI companion in a live public setting. This raises urgent questions. How do we verify identity anymore? And should level 3 synthetics even be legal? The senator is holding a press conference now.
That was not me at that conference. Someone built a level 3 synthetic with my face, my voice, and sent it to speak on my behalf. This is identity theft. This is exactly what we warned about when we said level 3 must be banned.
With respect to the senator, this isn't about banning technology, it's about regulating misuse. If we ban realistic faces, we're letting fear control innovation.
Imagine the impact. A level 3 robot could perfectly impersonate a politician, a senator, or a celebrity. Even worse, it could impersonate your own family, your parent, your uncle, or your boss. If we legalize level 3, how do we control it? This is deepfake times 10. We can be suspicious of a video on a screen, but what if the person is standing right in front of you? You can touch them, speak to them, shake their hand. Imagine the chaos. Ruined reputations, false speeches, scams involving your own family. Imagine a robot that looks exactly like your boss telling you to transfer funds or approve a project. Imagine a politician suddenly flipping on a major geopolitical issue. How would you know it wasn't them? It could go out of control instantly. So, where do we draw the line? Who is in charge of ensuring that these perfect human replicas stay in the bedroom and don't end up in the Senate? It might sound funny to you, but this exact topic has actually been addressed in the Star Wars extended universe. You know the movies, but in the books and lore, they dive deeper. They have a strict rule. Droids must look like droids. Robots built to look completely human without any way of distinguishing them are strictly forbidden. In that universe, human replica droids are illegal. They are rare, expensive, and sold only on the black market, precisely because of the impersonation risks. But here is the problem for us. If we stop building human-like robots to prevent crimes, what happens to our fantasies? What happens to the idea that a robot must look human for us to fall in love with it? If we ban the perfect human look to stay safe, do we lose the romance? Can we have one without the other? Or do both scenarios need to be banned? There are so many questions we need to unpack around this context alone. But let's look at another key aspect of our lives: public perception. 3 months later, Brian made his choice and went for a level 2 synthetic. Tonight is their first dinner out together. The waitress approaches the table and asks,
"Good evening. Can I start you both with something to drink?"
I'll have a red wine. And she's fine. Thank you.
Of course. And will your guest be ordering this evening?
She doesn't eat.
Sir, I'm very sorry, but some of our other guests have expressed discomfort. We're not asking you to leave, but would you be willing to move to a more private table in the back?
Would they be less uncomfortable if she looked like a robot?
Choosing the appearance of your robot will completely change how people see you when you step outside. I want you to imagine going out in public. Imagine walking down the street, sitting in a restaurant, or traveling with your companion. Now, apply the different levels of appearance. How will people react if you walk into a restaurant with a level 1, a machine of metal and plastic? How will they look at you? What about a level 2? What about a level 3? It looks human, but it doesn't eat and it doesn't drink. Picture the awkwardness of a dinner date where your partner just sits there. Should eating be a mandatory feature, just so the robot can blend in? And what happens if you choose level 4? If you walk in with a fantasy creature or an anime character, how will your parents react? How will strangers staring at you from the next table judge your relationship? We will dive deeper into these specific questions in future videos on this channel. But for now, I want you to focus on the timeline. How long will it take before this becomes the new normal? How long until having a robot, whether it's level 1, 2, or 3, is just as common as having a smartphone? How long will it take? Do you think it will be a year before everyone gets used to it? Or are you going to be treated like an outsider, a weirdo, for 5 years or more? These are the questions we need to discuss today before it all becomes reality. All right, I think that is enough for today. I can already see some of you having your minds blown, or at least having your perspective expanded. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video triggered some strong opinions and reactions. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Let's start a real conversation. And obviously, thank you for subscribing to the channel, liking, and sharing. Do all the YouTube things that you know will help this channel grow as fast as possible. Together, let's prepare for the future of AI companions. Talk to you soon.